Welcome to Nintendo Voice, your voice for everything Nintendo. This is episode 1, being recorded on 9th of May 2015. My name is Lewis Pugh, and joining me to talk Nintendo, we have Harrison Milfeld.
Hello, what's up?
And Colin Crompton.
Yes, good evening.
So everyone, welcome to Nintendo Voice. This is our first episode. We are going to start with our feature, which for today is going to be around the Splatoon Direct and the Test Fire event. We then have a quite massive listener question segment. We've been going through Twitter and asking you for your Nintendo questions, and you've been very generous, giving us lots of interesting questions. And there's also a favourite to be picked and a prize to be won. And our last segment is the bonus round, in which we return the favour and ask you a question, and trying to get some interesting Nintendo opinions back. And again, prizes to be won, so please stick around to the end of the show.
Yes, special prizes.
Special prizes.
I'm trying to think, what are we calling this as far as shortening, like podcasts, like NV or MVP, or, well, actually, the more that I think about it, when I say MVP, it makes it sound like the acronym is Nintendo versus Predator, or something.
Which would make for some interesting box art. I reckon we should avoid the whole acronym here, or else we might get in some sort of legal territory with other podcasts. Yeah. I don't want to say too much. But Nintendo Voice is a very, very original podcast, and we're very happy to be doing this for you guys. Let's go straight into our first segment, Splatoon Direct. So hopefully we all watched Splatoon Direct.
Yep. I did while at work, and minimizing and maximizing my window, like in between whatever we're watching right now. So I may have missed little bits and parts here on there. It was really good, a really good, decent Direct.
But in terms of what was revealed in there, it started off a little slow, but it was quite entertaining. But we did find out quite a lot about Splatoon that we didn't know. And I think we'll best start with the free DLC. So yeah, it's going to be supported with a bunch of DLC in the future, and apparently it's all free for now at least. It includes new arenas, new modes, and new gear. And so it seems like almost everything but the single-player component is going to be increased as time goes on.
So wait,
that's a good thing, you know?
Yeah, that is a good thing. It just doesn't it feel like though that this game is kind of shipping incomplete?
Yeah, that is the other angle. Because I think it ships with 5 online maps, as it were, and 2 modes. As in the online modes.
This seems to be Nintendo's way of doing things lately. Like Smash came out, and
I think with Smash though, it had a complete package. It just, I think probably during development they're like, oh, we want to put more of this stuff in, but we don't want to delay it for this little thing.
It's not as noticeable as Smash, because Smash always aims to overdo it in the first place.
That's right, yeah.
They have a ridiculous set of things to do, whether you're going to do them or not. But yeah, we've got 2 online modes, 5 maps, and obviously a bunch of gear. Well, they detailed 2 of the extra modes. One of them's tower control. They described it like a reverse tug-of-war. Essentially, there's going to be this tower in the middle of the stage, and if you get on top of it, it starts moving to your base.
It's like an alternate version of like Capture the Flag.
Yeah.
The flag moves.
So, yeah, but I wasn't sure that when the tower gets to your side, if the game ends and you win at that point, or if you're just
you got to defend it for a certain amount of time, I should think.
But yeah, that looked like an interesting mode. And they also just kind of chucked the name out of a mode. And this kind of brought me back to like an early Direct day when they said, we got a new Mario and a new Zelda in development. That's all we're going to say at this point.
Yeah.
But there's a new mode called Rainmaker, and we don't know anything about that. So that was an interesting reveal. What I did like was the amount of weapons, like the descriptions of them, because we knew there were going to be the 3 main types of weapons. But I thought there would only be 2 different weapons of each type or something. But it seems like there is quite a large amount. The other thing I really liked was the amount of gear and the gear abilities.
Yeah, it feels like with your Inkling, whatever, or I'm assuming you'll have an Inkling avatar or something like that. Not like a me, but one that you're able to custom make. It's like,
Oh yeah, certainly. And they kind of
yeah,
walk
and
around
if,
the equivalent of the plaza. They
Mm.
did give it a name, but I can't remember what it is top of my head.
Squid City or
Squid
something.
City.
Squid City. Yeah, that sounds right.
Squidity.
Squidity. Squidopolis. No, but that joke's dead.
I think that's the closest it is, though. I think it's something like Squidpolis.
No, I like the customization. How this is going to be have somebody that they have like fake brands for these gear too. So it's pretty interesting.
It's like the Mario Kart 8 thing, where they've got those fake brands on the carts.
Oh, that's true. But yeah, they're not as tongue-in-cheek with,
No.
it's this character's garage, which he does on the side sort of thing.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it looks like they put a surprising amount of detail on the fashion design, as it were. I wonder how much resources of the team that actually took to, just design fashions and such. Seems quite weird. But no, I like the fact that you have different abilities and they essentially can be leveled up the more they are used. So it seems like there's going to be quite a lot of depth with, getting money on the online mode, going back, buying gear, using it, leveling it up, testing it with the different
Find out
weapons.
which one you're most competent with. Yeah, I mean, it's that's good.
Yeah.
Rather than the demo we played a while ago, it was everyone had exactly the same abilities. It was so evenly played,
Well, and not only that, it was just the one weapon, I believe. It was just the basic splat gun. One thing I did think was very peculiar on the Direct was the announcement that there are essentially only ever 2 stages to choose from at any one time. And that is because they are on a rotation of every 4 hours. There will be a set of 2 stages for you to choose from online.
Yeah, it's
I'll be honest, I don't really play many online shooters nowadays. Is something which comes up?
To be honest, I haven't played any online shooters in a long time. Last I checked, you could choose up to 16 maps. But, that's all.
It's an odd decision. I'm not sure the reasoning for it. Maybe they're a bit concerned that there won't be enough players, going across all the modes and all the maps. So maybe if they limit their options, there will always be enough people.
Let me get this straight. So for the retail, this is for the retail version, correct?
Yeah, just a normal game.
Okay, so when you select anything when it comes to an online mode, like a certain map, that's only available for a certain amount of hours. Then it's switched up.
Yes.
That is strange.
It is peculiar.
Because you can have a favourite map and it will never come up again for, quite a while. You have to wait ages for it to rotate back round again.
And I wonder if they will actually let you know, what stages will be available next and when that is.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to wait, a couple hours before these 2 stages appear, and then after that, the next two stages
and
are
these
this.
are set stages, aren't they? Not randomly generated or...
No, they're set stages. So there's going to be 5 maps in the game when it releases on day 1.
Yeah.
And they did say that the maps are going to be coming they suggested it was almost a bi-weekly basis sort of thing. So they're going to be coming in almost rapid fire. And I think they showed off images for at least 6 different maps or so, on top. So it sounds like there's going to be a lot of extra stuff coming on. It seems a very peculiar way to introduce it all. And I mean, this goes kind of hand in hand with the fact that the ranked matches won't be playable on day 1. When Nintendo decides there are enough people at level 10, the mode will be turned on.
Okay. That's just when Nintendo decides.
Exactly, yeah. 1,000 or 10,000 or whatever people hit level 10, the mode will be accessible and people can start playing ranked matches.
It mostly just goes to the time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Pushes the button.
I mean, a lot of interesting decisions, but I think we can take away that it's a positive thing, the fact that Nintendo could care enough to make these peculiar decisions with their online game. That they've obviously put some thought into it. They've come up with some weird answers, but I think it's because they've actually put some thought into it. So I'm hoping there is going to be some method to the madness when it all comes along. And their plan will be some sense, at least, a week after.
You hope so. So, yeah.
I do hope so, yeah. And I think that's a good time to move on to the global test fire. And so this is something which obviously was announced in the Direct, and it's something which has happened now. At the time of recording, all the 3 single-hour slots that you could play Splatoon in have come and gone. What happened was there was a demo released onto the Wii U, but you could only play it online. There was no offline mode on it. At 3 1-hour slots on today's date, on the 9th. And so again, another peculiar online decision
It's
made
just the
for
oddest
Splatoon.
decision they've ever made.
Yeah, I mean, most companies would say maybe just do for the weekend.
Yeah.
You can play at any time. After the weekend goes, so does the beta or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was 3 very specific hours, and I think no matter where you are in the world, one of those set of 3 is going to be at a time which is really inconvenient at the
Yeah.
middle of the night.
Like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Well, it was inconvenient for me because I didn't even get a chance to play this. I didn't.
Well, exactly. Yeah. It was a very odd decision. I believe I was the only one who actually managed to play
Yeah.
this, and so I'll give some feedback. And now I was lucky enough to actually caught it on 2 of the 3 times. As big as a Splatoon fan I am already, I couldn't be bothered to wait to or stay up till 4 in the morning to play Splatoon for the first
Wow,
hour.
they couldn't actually do that better for time zones. Jeez.
Well, that's the thing, yeah, because they were the same times for everyone, as it were. So
Yeah.
I think there was a 4 in the morning slot for both people in Europe and people in America, essentially, one of the 3. But yeah, my experience was actually really good. I mean, there was a few instances whereas like I clicked to join a game, and then it just spat out saying that there's already 8 people in this group, and it made me click the button to join again. But that was then quite prompt to join a game. So the way it worked, that you could choose between the 4 weapon types. You could choose between a male or a female Inkling, and you could choose their skin color. You didn't choose the stages; they just kind of chose for you, and there were 2 maps which are up there. I mean, altogether there was quite a lot to play around with, and you were able to squeeze quite a lot of games in that hour slot. At least 10 games. I wasn't
Oh
actually counting
wow.
myself.
That's not bad. I mean,
But yeah, I mean, I did play this on the post E3 event, and it's still as fun, but there's even like more stuff, and it seems that people are kind of really picking this up really fast as well, because there was quite a lot of good competition, and the different weapon types really mix things up as well.
How did it play? I mean, how as far as connection wise online was it? Because I think this is why. Do you think like they tried to test this out how online was going to be with like people on like these hour intervals? I think what I was mentioning is that was it smooth in transitioning in online?
It was surprisingly smooth. I think the only logic I can make the fact that they did these 3-hour slots was that they wanted as an intensive focus of users at any one time. Yeah, it handled it really well. Again, there was just a few connection joining issues, no connection issues during an actual game, and I don't even think there was any lag. It was really smooth. The game was 60 frames. I didn't see any like weird movements from like the other players.
they just like walking backwards or anything like that.
No, or like sometimes you would see on an online game, they would be they would be running ahead, and then they would like jump a few feet. Or
All the other like teleport all over the place. Yeah, Monster Hunter 4. I love that game. Capcom, please sort out the servers. Because
What's the name of that cat that decides the winner of everything?
Judd, I think.
Judd, yeah, it's Judd. Judge. I was like, what the hell? Oh, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, yeah, the cat is here too. But yeah, I mean, I'm really liking Splatoon. It's actually a more strategic game than you're probably thinking. And it's really quite fun just to lay down some ink, go into it as a squid, and obviously you can move quicker. You can also hide in it. So if you're travelling through the ink as well, and you go across a corner, and you see an opponent, they don't know you're there yet. So you can kind of aim your shot up quickly, pop out the ink, start shooting, and you can duck straight back under if they're firing back, and you can then start
there's a
zipping
real
away.
pro game to this game.
Yeah, and
Which,
actually, what I should probably mention, so yeah, there was these 4 weapons. So there was the standard like splat gun. There was like a junior splat gun, which I think the difference between those two were the junior version. I don't think it had as far distance, but the shot had a wider range. So I guess it was better for close encounters, whereas the standard one's better for slightly longer range. In addition to those two, they had the equivalent to the sniper gun. Most importantly, they had the roller. And the roller can be devastating.
Well, yeah, aside from just, rolling things, sorry, but I believe you can use the roller or whatever and just, like, shake it, essentially, for more area to cover.
Yeah, so that's kind of like your only projectile attack as such, because obviously with the roller you're not actually shooting anything at all. You're just pushing it along the floor. Because a lot of the arenas have like corners and they're around like quite tall obstacles, you can often like run around a corner and the person there isn't aware that you're going to be coming around, sort of thing. If you are running around a corner with a roller, you could just completely catch people off guard and just squash them. And it's also funny, like, if you just happen to see someone running away from you and they're not aware that you're behind them, if you just start running up to them with the roller as well, and as soon as they turn around, you can kind of just swoop them up and they explode. But the roller is very satisfying. I was leaning towards that greatly at the beginning, and I thought I'd best try all the other weapons out. But yeah, that's probably my favourite. I'm not sure it is actually the best weapon there, because obviously, yeah, when you do get better with the standard weapons, they do have a lot longer range. So if you do see the guy with the roller coming, you are going to be able to take him out before he can take you out, if you're equally skilled. But it's probably the most fun weapon there. So it's going to be interesting playing around with the different weapons in that type and mixing up with, the different abilities of the gear and so on. But yeah, I was really surprised at how well the online connectivity worked. No, there was no lag for me, and I imagine this was purely done as a stress test in the first place. So
Yeah.
if that was their point in doing these really tiny slots, then I think it went out really well.
Still odd, the timings. I mean,
It's still very odd.
if they're going to test, their network and make sure everything holds, you would do it for a longer period of time.
Yeah, I'm thinking that it isn't the end of the demo, because that demo app is still there, as it
I
were.
was going to say, I can see it on the eShop now. If I download it now,
Yeah, well, you
Would
can't do
I-
you won't be able to do anything with it, because you couldn't between the hour without the hours anyway. It just points you to the website if it's not running currently, and the fact that they're doing it that way makes me think that they'll update the website in a couple of days or in a week or
they're
so,
going to do another.
and they'll do another one, and this time it will be the full day or it'll be a full evening, and they'll just open it up a little bit more. And so this was the very first test, just in case things went drastically wrong.
Yeah.
It would only be down for up to the hour, would be the worst
right,
news
yeah.
story, opposed to, Nintendo's
days.
big game was down for the full weekend of its beta,
It's like,
Yeah.
oh, did you want to play this? Sorry, our servers
It
were
doesn't
overloaded,
work.
so
Yeah.
tough luck. I'm disappointed I didn't get a chance to play this now. I was
Yeah.
like, it's just, again, it's very strange of them to actually do something like that, where it's like, you get to enjoy it for like maybe 1 hour at 3 points during the day, and it's a weird decision to it where I'm thinking, like, is Nintendo really dipping its toe in betas, it seems like?
Yeah. How Nintendo is this? Because it's very un-Nintendo to do a beta. But if Nintendo was, apparently this is what they would do.
I'm sure they're going to give us one for Xenoblade Chronicles X, and it's like, oh, awesome. Yeah, problem is it's still all in Japanese, so have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
Like it's like a 10-minute time.
No, I wouldn't. Here's the thing: I wouldn't even play. I just sit there and just stare at it, just like how beautiful it is. And more
That's
visual
right,
of this I see. It's like landscape porn. It's like you look at everything outside, you're like, wow, this is beautiful.
Oh dear. So I mentioned before we move on is the music in this game. I was really drawn to it when I played it previously, and it's just as good now. And it's good to hear even more songs in the Splatoon vein. I guess there's one advantage of downloading the app now is that there is some Splatoon music playing before it tries to connect. So
So you get like a 30-second snippet.
well, it's just a full track on loop, so I think it's at least a couple of minutes.
There are other things as far as music, like isn't like during like the plaza where you there's some musical group that plays
Oh yeah, this wasn't in the
their
demo.
version of it and demo. Yeah, okay, that.
Yeah, it wasn't in the demo. But yeah, that's something that they announced in the direct, and that's another weird thing, because that's also time-based, so they're going to be events which happen, and they will happen at specific times. So Nintendo
Sounds
will
like
say,
something I've been Animal Crossing. Not.
it does, but it is like server-driven. So Nintendo will say, oh, this weekend there's going to be this event, so check out Splatoon and check out. It's like having some sort of party in Splatoon world. So you would, you go in there and you go to this other plaza or whatever. And there will also be a subset of ranked games you can play, which goes towards this event. So yeah, it seems like they are trying out some new things. It's good that they're not just doing the basics. I mean, it is a shame that they're not doing the voice chat, But it looks like they are experimenting with some other types of things you can do with an online game. And so it's good to see that, and it's not bare bones.
I mean, I've said this before, even after each little bit of news we get from this game, is that I do believe that this could possibly be Nintendo's next surprise hit.
I really think it could. I mean, the game was so fun to play, and I just wanted to keep playing match after match. So yeah, I mean, and I reckon this will be their pioneer online multiplayer game, because they've got lots of established great local multiplayer game. Exactly, I mean, and Smash Bros does play well online, but this is their first multiplayer game, which isn't the primary focus is for online multiplayer. It plays like a Nintendo game. It plays really, really well, and it's great to see their take on a third-person shooter. I'm just surprised how well it plays. This is their first attempt at the thing, and it's great. So yeah, I think that pretty much covers Splatoon now, unless you guys got any more questions.
Well, I take it everybody has already pre-ordered this?
Oh yes.
Oh yeah,
I pre-ordered. I pre-ordered it a while ago.
Yeah. So have you got any incentive?
No.
No. Oh, fair enough. So
I'm
even if I
waiting.
did, I'll just give it away.
I'm waiting right now to see how many blocks it is to download, because my temporary solution on my Wii U, which is just a SD card reader, I'm not sure how much is going to be put on that. So, I mean, between this and the Mario Kart 8 DLC and future Smash Brothers DLC, I'm just thinking like, okay, I got to figure something out about this.
And saying that, yet another peculiar thing which came out of this, although this one is more region-based, is if you're in Europe, I'm not sure if you had to have played it or you just download this demo, you can essentially get the game for a discounted price. I think that it's 10%, which is knocked off. That doesn't apply for America, for whatever reason.
Odd.
Greedy capitalists. That's why.
And the other thing is, in Europe, this is a slightly discounted game. But
I was going to say
it's not in America either.
Is that the same way with the latest Kirby and the Rainbow Curse?
Yeah. Well, was that full price in America?
That was $40 over here.
Yeah,
So-
it isn't. Again, that is a discounted one over here as well.
No, it's only £29 on Amazon. So
So yeah, not bad at all. And so yeah, we'll move on now to listener questions. And all of these questions came from Twitter. And so before we go through these, I'll let you know how you can send in your own questions. And so if you use Twitter, you can simply contact us at Nintendo Voice. Or if not, you can send us an email, hello@nintendovoice.com. And we'll start from our first question. This one's from @Lewistrations, who asks, what are your preferred snacks to accompany a Nintendo Direct?
A 5-course meal. No. I was like, wait, snacks?
I like your optimism there. Yeah, you're really quite ambitious in your Nintendo Direct prediction there.
I was like, no, but everybody's asking me, like, why are you cooking such a big meal? Oh, there's like this 30-minute Nintendo Direct. I just want to carb up a little bit. No.
How much notice does Nintendo give us about how long these Directs will be?
A day or two?
Usually just there's going to be a Direct and it's like...
The Splatoon one was different. It was like announced a week beforehand.
Yeah.
True, but I don't think we find out how long it is till oddly half an hour or something before it starts. Like basically when the video's ready. But whatever has that thing in front of us. Watching it.
That's how disappointed I was with the Xenoblade one, because it said it was gonna be like 40 minutes, and I'm like, oh, this is great. We're getting everything condensed. And it was just a 7-8 minute introduction, and then it went straight to the live demo from Nintendo Treehouse, and I'm like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
But back to the question.
Yeah, the all-important question. Although I think we can extend this also to if you watch E3 from home. That's a much more meteor experience. So maybe you would have the
5-course meal.
5-course meal on an E3 on a digital event. But so yeah, what would you have for the Direct? What's a good Direct snack?
Popcorn's always good. Yeah.
No, that's always good too. But for me though, if I'm watching at home, it's whatever's around the house I could find, but most of the time I usually don't like to snack during it because like I'll be usually at my laptop or my phone kind of commenting on it at the same time. If I had
So
a
maybe a
good...
meal you could have for a straw. Then your hands are free to be typing away.
Well, Lewis, you that brings me to what I actually do during directs is, yes, I drink alcohol during that.
There we go. So that's a fine snack. That's an adult snack, that is. So I guess that only leaves me. I wish I'd thought up something witty beforehand. Although Colin's suggestion of the popcorn is probably the more practical one. I think I've done that for an E3 before. I think I've got some popcorn out.
How odd.
Well, it depends. I mean, some of the presentations can go on forever. Have you seen the Sony one? But I mean,
well, you can have the popcorn. Well, Colin, you could have. I mean, with the popcorn, if there's something that you really are disappointed they announce, or if there's a delay, I mean, that gives you ample opportunity just to throw popcorn at your TV screen or laptop, or computer screen.
Yeah, but it doesn't have quite the same effect as if I was there. I'm just craving best for myself.
You really wish you were there if you were tossing vegetables at them.
Yeah, you don't want to tossing vegetables at your own PC screen. So we'll move on now to our next question. At JoamRBLX. If the first Nintendo console wasn't created back then, would the PlayStation or Xbox exist today?
This deals in, like, quantum mechanics almost.
Very existential question, isn't it?
Because, if you look at the PlayStation as like the main, the only reason PlayStation exists today is because of a failed deal between Nintendo and Sony back in 94?
It was like 93 or 90. It was like around 93, 94, and
yeah,
it was Nintendo's like stubbornness because they thought that Philips would provide them with a better deal, and
Nintendo's foresight's amazing. Yeah,
that turned out very well, didn't it? I know, and essentially Nintendo gave birth to a monster. So
yeah, it
seems there is a very direct relationship between the Nintendo and the PlayStation. So I mean, it's very likely that PlayStation wouldn't exist without Nintendo because how directly involved it was. So I guess the question is, would Microsoft still want to get into the gaming scene?
Well,
without those two existing?
Xbox really came out of the ashes of Sega, because I mean the Dreamcast went down pretty badly, and then Sega, a lot of people from Sega actually jumped ship to, because Microsoft was like, oh, we're going to start our own console, and so a lot of things that were on the Dreamcast before came out on the first Xbox. Just rather inexplicable.
That is true, but I think Microsoft was developing the Xbox. I think right at the time when the Dreamcast was already released. So
I think Microsoft was setting their ways to create a box to go under your TV.
Yeah, that's what they wanted.
Direct Xbox.
Direct Xbox, yeah. They were trying to find something to actually put, I think it was like a Windows or Linux or something like that onto essentially a box, like you said, like a box.
Xbox ran on Windows NT, I think. As its operating system.
I believe
Xbox probably would have come into the picture at some point.
However, if we go all the way back, obviously, when the NES came out, it was challenging the very disrupted gaming scene.
Yeah.
The
After
83
Atari.
crash.
Yes.
Without
that introduction, would there even be a platform for Microsoft to even consider?
With the 1983 video game crash, for the longest time, as a kid, I always kind of associated, Howard Scott Warshaw's program game of E.T. the Extraterrestrial as the game that was like single-handedly destroyed the industry. But as I got older, that wasn't necessarily the case. I mean, You'd always see that game on like, oh, this is probably one of the worst games ever made. But when you kind of play it a little bit, it's not really that bad. I mean, it's not that worst thing ever. I mean, it's bad, but I don't know.
There are worse examples.
But it's not the collapse of Atari bad.
No. Yeah.
There's a scale.
No. It's just during that time, Atari and other companies were just putting out, half-hearted attempts at games that just were either unplayable or they just weren't that fun. It just essentially made that industry, because back then it was considered toys. That was it, a toy industry. And when these games started keep coming out in droves during the 80s, like, a poor port of Pac-Man or even Donkey Kong, for instance, people weren't just buying these things. Like, the market was just flooded with these really bad games, and with a big budgeted game at that time, like E.T., for instance, it was essentially the straw that broke the camel's back with that one. That was that big title where it's just like, okay, that's it. This industry's done. I think out from these ashes, came Nintendo, which, when you kind of think about it, the NES name, they were smart to kind of name it that way here in America, because Nintendo Entertainment System, they didn't call it a video game system.
No,
when they named it that way here in the States, and it started to, resurrect an industry that was just left for dead in a ditch and near a river, they just disguised it as an entertainment system, but it's like, oh, no, it actually plays video games.
They did the same thing in Japan. They call it the Famicom, which is a family computer.
Yes, you are correct. Yeah. But to answer the question, would this still exist? I think there in the industry still today, it wouldn't be the billion-dollar marketing machine that it is that we know right now.
Because when Nintendo came back into the fold, they released the NES. They did buy back a lot of the public confidence as well, because they brought in the quality assurance, the official seal of quality, which meant that the game was actually worth getting, even though every game practically had it, apart from the pirated or the non-official ones. I think because Nintendo came in and made that, because they made the whole deal that you can only make 5 games a year for the system, they have to be good. They raised up the bar of quality control. I think if that practice wasn't in, then I think Xbox had a lot harder time getting into the scene.
But to be frank though on this, even after the Atari days, whatever, during the early NES days, video games in terms of third party, that wasn't named Nintendo, whatever, a lot of it was really still kind of the Wild West in terms of development.
Okay, then to conclude this, so what do we reckon in simple yes or no answers? Would there be? Oh well, for both PlayStation and Xbox, do you reckon they would be around? Was it for Nintendo?
There would be no PlayStation, because I think that was more of the direct of Sony wanting to come out. Reason the PlayStation existed right now is because of their disgruntled, felt a betrayal from Nintendo. And whereas Microsoft, I think there would be some form of machine, maybe. I mean, there was some PC gaming during that time, so.
Yeah. How about you, Colin?
I agree with Harrison completely. I think that'd be what would be the case.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say that I reckon Sony would have given it a stab anyway. It wouldn't have been. It's tricky how we answer this question, because it wouldn't be PlayStation as we know it.
Well,
it probably wouldn't be called PlayStation for one, and it probably wouldn't look like it. But I reckon they would have put out a game system at some point, assuming. Again, that's the bigger question: whether there would be some sort of gaming market in that sense, or whether it would have just been relegated to PCs. Hard to say. But for the sake of this hypothetical question, I reckon they would have both been around at some point, but Microsoft probably would have entered it a lot later. Possibly even ironically, the Xbox One could have actually been the Xbox One.
The Xbox One, yeah.
And so it was fully pictured as a TV, media, and games box, and not.
Oh, kind of like Sega. Kind of like the Sega Channel. That was really bad.
Exactly like the Sega Channel. Yes.
Did anybody ever do that? I don't know. I had friends who said yeah, you just want to try this out, and of course this was the same soul who actually had a Sega CD and a 32X, and I'm like, oh. And in hindsight, I told him why did you buy that hunk of metal and just deformity? I mean, your poor Genesis. I was like, I felt bad for his Genesis, because as Genesis, I kept looking at it. It almost was a cry for help thing, and please take this stuff off me.
Yeah.
I can't say I had the pleasure, unfortunately.
No.
However, we'll move on to our next question. At Pandaradox, with Nintendo's foray into mobile, do you think NFC on phones will see functionality with Wii U and Amiibo?
This is a very interesting question. Even though there's a bit of a news part, whatever, Nintendo's going to be making 5 mobile games or something.
Yeah, by 2017 they're going to have 5.
This year. One's coming out this year.
That's right, yeah. So it's by the end of the fiscal year of 2016, which puts it in the 2017. I think that's it.
Yeah.
5 games in total, 1 coming this year. And they were saying, although it may seem like a small number, the reason why it is going to be 5. We want these games to not just be these quick fads. We're going to support them going forwards.
Do you know what? It's like a tip of the hat to the NES days. You can only make 5 games for the system per year.
That was per year, though. This is over a couple of years.
True.
So yeah, it's even higher quality controlled than the original Nintendo. Is what we're saying. Yeah, will they use the NFC chip at all? And he actually brought up an interesting point, something I haven't thought of before. In theory, your smartphone could interact with your gamepad by tapping it
Yeah.
onto there instead of an amiibo.
So, do you think see now they could do a downloadable version of the amiibo?
You have a digital amiibo.
Yeah,
You could buy a digital one, and
you could buy them all and not have to worry about making the darn things.
that could almost work.
Yeah,
That
almost.
could. It would save me time going. It would save me time waiting in GameStops to pre-order these things, pointing and laughing at GameStop employees, thinking like, "Yeah, Nintendo took down your store."
Yeah. Because ironically, I was thinking of a kind of a digital amiibo system, just taking the NFC part out of it completely. Like, if they have this platform which goes from phone to Wii U to other consoles, maybe they could and the games are free. Maybe they could sell like digital amiibos, and they would do something for all these little games. But yeah, I mean, they could actually then work as genuine amiibos on the Wii U, as in you take your smartphone with your downloaded digital one, you tap
Yeah.
into the gamepad, and it just does whatever it would have done as a
Well,
figure.
anyway, yeah, that's right. If they can put it into a card, they must be able to make it digital.
Yeah, well, there's just two
Probably.
NFC chips talking to each other at that
That's
point,
right, yeah.
and that's possible. So, do we reckon will there be any mobile games which use amiibo in that sense? So you tap a Mario figure to your phone, and something happens.
Wait, do you phone? Oh, this sounds like a dumb question. Like, don't phones have NFC capabilities?
They do.
Okay, yeah.
So the iPhone technically has it, but you wouldn't be able to program it yet until Apple opens it up. But it has the hardware in it. Android phones, you could just do it right now because it's got the hardware and it lets you access it. And technically Windows Phone too. No one cares about that.
Wait, no one cares about Windows phones?
Well, Windows
No.
Phone.
I mean, I've had a few of them, but I doubt
More
Nintendo
than
would
anyone
ever make a
else.
game for it, yeah. I don't reckon they would.
I mean, it all depends on how in depth these experiences that they're creating on mobile platforms are going to be. I mean,
Well, I don't know. I think an amiibo could work with anything, really. No matter how complex or basic a game is.
true. I mean, I don't know.
You think Amiibo can work with anything?
Well, I mean, if you want it to.
Well, I mean, what
As
was
the
it
designer.
didn't when Amiibos come out, some guy, I think it was like in Europe, I believe, tried using an like a Bowser amiibo to get the return style at a subway.
Oh, there's one where like the Metroid amiibo will pass through a security gate, and it's like, wow.
Yeah, I assume those involved them rewriting the data, but I don't know. Did they just really like buy them and just poke them up to the sensors and it did stuff?
So yeah,
That seems very peculiar.
Somebody was that curious, and I think they said it worked, but didn't really give anything for like, oh wow, here's free tokens for the ride.
Yeah. Don't reckon we'll see amiibos on phones. What about you two?
Well, like I said, I mean, it all depends on what the experiences are, in my opinion. I don't. I think they want to tie it in because of the success that Amiibo's had.
Yeah.
Possibly.
I reckon it would be a smart move for them. As in, like, you see, there are, like, NFC figures that you can buy for, like, tablets and such, mostly aimed for kids. And so Amiibo will be great for that market. But I just don't see them doing it on phones. I don't know why, but it just seems like they want to keep that to their own hardware. Because it's kind of their hardware is in their figures. They don't want to... I don't think they'll also be making accessories for any phones either. So, yeah, I reckon they'll keep them separate. And so, you, Harrison, what do you reckon?
I see it. I mean, why not?
Yeah, that's fair enough, yeah. Yeah, especially with all of them out there. And if they can do it, again, yeah, why not maybe the approach which happens? Our next question is from GamerP16. Is Nintendo's family-friendly image finally starting to hurt their bottom line, like taking out voice chat in Splatoon?
I discussed this. I discussed about voice chat long ago in our other pod. I mean, what was it when it was first announced that it was being taken out? I know some people really want it on there, but it's really not that bit of a deal breaker for me. Whatever when it comes to planning, but
playing some more Splatoon today, it didn't seem like it was a huge loss. Because of the way the game works, at least in the turf war mode,
Yeah.
you you kind of have the information you need. As in, you've got a very clear view of the map. You know what your goal is, which is to try and cover, more ink than the other team, and you
That's
can
true.
warp to your teammates by tapping them.
But there's all. It just would have been like the icing on the cake, you
True.
know. There's just this
You
one
you are
option.
right. You're right.
Well,
It's
definitely,
just,
yeah. Again, I would give me the option. I'd always rather have it something, even if I wouldn't use it, than
Yeah.
not to have
But
it.
but the thing is, like, the family friendly thing. This has just been something that's been going on. It seems like during the N64 days, but to me, I don't really think it has kind of resurfaced a little bit. I think the way what this listener wants to think about it is like, it's the fact that Nintendo is very stubborn. It seems like, and seems stuck in the past a lot with a lot of their ideals.
Yeah, I think that's probably more so the issue than in air in quotes family friendly.
I mean, it didn't hurt the Wii at all.
That's
Well, yeah, the Wii was a phenomenon, though. That's essentially. I mean, it was a flash in a
Lovely.
pan,
Yeah.
but I mean,
well, that's true though. But I mean, if they did have this big family friendly issue, which would hamper any growth, then that would have stopped the Wii because that was targeting adults. There was
Yeah.
a big focus there on the lapsed gamer, and just a completely opposite angle to say the children and that market. So yeah, I think you raise a good point. If this was such a big issue, then the Wii wouldn't have been as big as it is.
well, I mean, we let's not kid ourselves though. I mean, Nintendo is one that really doesn't really have the most robust gray, like dark and gray, gritty games out there. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just this is one that does cater. I mean, it's a lot of kids these days know who these are. I mean, but then again, a lot of adults know who Mario is. I mean, there's a reason why Mario, even to this day, I will say, is probably the most recognizable fictional character next to like Mickey Mouse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very true. And so yeah, I mean, it goes into a whole number of different issues because, as you said, that there aren't that many mature games as such. They're usually driven through the third parties anyway, but it's the lack of those, which is why we've not got them. But why is there a lack of them? And it turns into a very complex question.
One that goes very deep, whatever. I mean, when we're talking about their image, we're talking about their decisions they've done in the past, or why is it that we don't? I mean, there's a reason why when they try an idea, like for instance, for something that's very for the mature space, look what happened with Metroid Other M, which is a game which I look at plays pretty well when you think about it. Not terribly. It's just the story's a whole different thing. But it didn't sell those numbers of what they were hoping for a title that was meant to people that was like 15 and up.
Yeah.
I think ultimately, I mean, I don't think the family friendly image Nintendo has does them any more harm than it does them good. I think there's obviously a lot of Nintendo fans which are grown up now who still like Nintendo games. I mean, obviously there's also a lot of people who did play Nintendo who don't play Nintendo now.
Yeah.
But I mean,
would you-
they've got these huge franchises like Pokemon, like Mario, which do sell to a lot of kids, a lot more so than they do adults.
Well, as again, this sounds biased, but we're given we're three podcasters who just love Nintendo games and just love the company. But would you think probably just to add on this that as us we grew up, but Nintendo didn't grow up?
Well, possibly, but I mean,
So Nintendo is the Peter Pan of the video game world.
The Peter Pan. Who's the Captain Hook of his world then?
I haven't really thought about this. Surprisingly,
You didn't come prepared.
The rest of the industry.
yeah. There you go.
Well, I mean, in some ways, yes, but other ways, no. I mean, they do make these very layered games where, yeah, kids and adults can play them. Like again, Pokemon's a perfect example. There is a lot of statistical depth in there if you want to go digging. But you could also hand it to a kid and they could have a jolly adventure playing through the Pokemon League. Again, games going through Mario and Zelda and so on, those games hold a wide age range focus. But trying to get back to the point of this question, because it is a tricky one. It sounds very simple at first.
Yeah.
Partly on this decision, because it couldn't have been purely technical. And so their stance has to be at least partly to do with protecting their younger audience.
Yeah.
And so I guess,
essentially the children of Nintendo fans.
yeah.
Sure.
So
which sounds very odd to me. It's like the offspring. Yes, they're the offspring of the Nintendo's first fans. We need to keep them interested.
yeah, and more importantly, keep them safe. So it's tricky. Yeah, in a way, it is kind of hurting them.
But does it mean? Yeah, no. I can actually agree with you. Yeah, it hurts them in certain spots. But does it mean they need to go
Yeah,
full on?
it's not an absolute though.
They
I
need-
think the more obvious thing is that they just need to buck up certain ideas, like having things like
They
voice
don't need to
chat
go from-
eliminated and using their parental controls,
Yeah,
which they
they,
have in the
they, they don't
system.
need to go from like one extreme to the other. Let's be like, this is the ultra mature Nintendo now, and all the games are going to be
Well,
dark.
Let's turn all our franchises into Shadow the Hedgehog.
Yeah, basically.
No. If I had to compile a list of games I wish I got my $5 back for renting it one weekend, that's on there. God. No. Like last week, I was on another podcast with a good friend of mine that we've done for a while, and we just went on a huge tangent. He went on a huge tangent how much he hates Sonic the Hedgehog. Like he hates that franchise.
Well, feel free to plug. Which podcast was this?
This was the Game Shoe podcast, and it's one that I'm a super rare guest on. And no, that last week we were just essentially I was the first person on there when we just talked a lot about Fire Emblem, and a lot of them didn't really know that the next Fire Emblem in Japan was going to be kind of like what they did with Pokemon, the past Pokemon games, split into two.
Yeah, well, is that confirmed for over here yet?
I don't think so.
No.
I think it's just going to be.
I got the feeling they'll put both games together for us.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's going to be like DLC
Yeah.
because I don't think a franchise of that stature could probably succeed with just two separate.
Yeah, it's not the same with Pokemon. They can't risk having two games out.
Okay.
Yeah.
As the host, I'm going to try and regain some sort of control again.
You try
And
that.
I think
yes,
we'll move now on to our
pull
next
back the
question,
reins.
which is actually our final question for the show. At Sir Right Away, what are you most excited for on E3?
Oh, this is easy.
Oh, is it? Okay. You start
Yeah.
them.
No, I'll
Well-
go last. I'll go last.
I mean, it's either one or two things. The Zelda reveal, which
Which
don't kid
Which
don't
they're
kid
saying
yourselves.
is not going to
No.
happen.
It's
Well,
gonna happen.
That's what you're most excited for.
There's
Well-
gonna be a video update of that. I mean, they say that they're only showing titles till 2015. It's
See,
gotta be
we
there.
are our worst enemies, surely. They have flat out right told us it's not going to be on the show.
It'll be there. Mark my words.
Okay, so what else apart from Zelda, which they said it's not going to be there? Are you most excited for?
I mean, basically, it's almost guaranteed to happen. Surely Retro's going to turn up with something.
Oh, the old retro one.
It's
I guess
been
so.
a while.
So is it
A
Metroid,
third Donkey
or is
Kong
it something
game.
else? Oh yeah.
No.
How would you feel if that happened?
Really disappointed.
Yeah.
It'd be like, just like,
No, it's like I know it's gonna be fun, but it's like I don't want that. I think I would march to Austin, Texas, where they're at, and I'd be like, no, you make a Metroid game now.
Yeah,
I'm
get to
actually
work.
trying to think what they could what sort of Nintendo franchise they could announce, which would have me less excited than another Donkey Kong Country. At this point, I'm struggling. So yeah, that tells you a lot.
Ooh,
For me, I'm excited to see Star Fox because apparently it's out this year, and we've basically seen nothing of it. We don't even know what it's called. We have no idea what graphic style it is, or even really how it's going to play. What do we know, like the rough mechanics?
What if though in this one, Retro's new game is they are developing this because Miyamoto, Shigeru Miyamoto said last year that demo that tech demo that we saw of it, they said that the development was fine, and he was quoted, I think it was that or Iwata, I forgot who it was, but they said that development's fine, but they were going to find another developer to pick up on it.
That was the weird thing, yeah. That they they hadn't chosen a development studio at last year's E3, yet they were committing to have the game released this year.
There has been talks with someone. There has to be.
Well, yeah,
there has been conversations already going on. Saying
exactly. But the way they were talking, it sounded like development basically hasn't started yet of this game.
Yeah, we got a rough idea what it's going to look like.
Beyond the mock-up that they've produced themselves.
It has to come out here. I mean, with Zelda in 2016, that's really the only other really full-fledged game that people would be able to recognize to sell well. Because I'm trying to think of else. maybe Mario Maker will sell well. I could see that being bit of a surprise.
I reckon it will sell well, actually.
Yeah, but I can't see. I don't think it's the blockbuster game that they're
I
expecting.
reckon it's gonna be a surprise hit, Mario Maker. I reckon it will hit the market like oh, that's a cool idea, sort of thing.
It will be like there.
But it depends
like,
if the Wii U's are actually sold to enough customers. I mean, if this had hit the Wii, I reckon it could almost sell like New Super Mario Bros. Numbers.
Yeah, that is. I mean, it'll essentially look at Little Big Planet when that first came out. I mean, that sold gangbusters because of its concept.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm most excited about Star Fox, basically because it's like the most unknown. It's hard to be excited about like unannounced games, and so this is the closest fitting to it. So what about you, Harrison?
It's Star Fox. It really is.
Star Fox too.
No, that's the one that I'm really looking forward to, and when I wrote for Pure Nintendo about a piece for them about 2 years ago, and it was talking about Nintendo franchises that need a comeback, and I had mentioned Star Fox on there and how they need to full-fledge this one, whatever, and they need to learn mistakes from what they did from Star Fox Assault. Of course, Namco at the time, whatever, helped develop that. So I'm really hoping this is going to be a really true return to form and something that's just. This is the type of game I feel like Platinum Games would be able to just go gaga over.
Yeah, they'll knock out the park. They would.
It would also be quite intense, I'd imagine.
But also, I'm trying to think. It's like, would they probably bring back ideas or something like that? Because from Star Fox 2, well, actually, the ideas from Star Fox 2 actually made it into Star Fox 64, which there were they could probably expand upon that. But yeah, that's one. Another I want to say, and this is one I want to hear more about because I know it should be coming up this year. It's Devil's Third from Valhalla Games, whatever. The guy, what's his name?
Tomonobu Itagaki.
Yes, that is his studio, and that game was originally supposed to be for, I believe, the PS3 and 360, but got moved. But during the fall of THQ,
that's right.
That development got switched over, and Nintendo once again,
Yep.
Yeah,
they did Bayonetta 2. They saved it and made it exclusive. So.
Yeah, I am actually quite curious about it because sometimes when I see it, it actually looks quite good, but other times it doesn't.
I didn't think it looked good at first when I saw the video of it because it wasn't shown during the last year's digital event. IGN actually had the exclusive rights to it, and when I first saw it, I was like, visually it didn't appeal to me, and it just seemed generic. But
it has an odd style as well, I think.
Yeah, but the more I looked at it, I was like, I could probably take this down. I mean. I warmed more up to Bayonetta once the release came to it, and that was one of my favorite games of last year.
Awesome.
But if I had to throw one in the park right now, like prediction-wise, two things. One, just laying more groundwork for more titles for this fall. But also, if I ask one realistic wish, a Metroid game, be it on 3DS or Wii U or just in any form announcement, just please. Yeah. The real answer, I think, is going to get a 2D revival on 3DS. I hope that's the case.
That would be very nice. It'd be cool if it span the two screens as well.
I've just thought of an interesting if Retro were to announce something.
Go on.
What if they announce that they're going to revive Wave Race?
Wait, what?
Fair
enough. I wasn't expecting that, but yeah, sure, I'll take it.
That would be an interesting.
Why Wave Race?
I don't know. That just seems like wasting their on something. I feel like another developer would just do that as well. Retro seems like when they have.
I'm just thinking of series that haven't been around for ages.
How about they take on F-Zero?
What?
Would that work?
Well, what's another good? What's?
Well, that's a game no one's making.
No, is Amusement Vision still around? The old studio?
I think we've had this conversation. I don't think they are.
They're not. No. Yep. We had this conversation 2 weeks ago. They're not around anymore.
I think F-Zero is probably not going to make it around this year. Dear.
I don't think they're going to make it around this whole console generation.
Yeah.
Because they're slowly shoehorning it into Mario Kart, which is concerning.
It's not even subtle at this point. It's got two of its own tracks. It's got a car. It's got a Mii costume.
That's right.
I just realized something. If another round of Mario Kart DLC is they announce another racing class, it's like
300cc.
Oh no! Once you get the boost on it, you just go off the course.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I mean, 200cc has made you like, yeah, you need to use brakes. And when I heard that, I was like, brakes in Mario Kart?
Yeah.
What button is that again?
Yeah, exactly. The only thing I know about is, like, what was it, like, drifting. That's it.
No, that's fair enough. Well, that takes us through all our questions, but we still have the all-important decision of deciding our star question, and the lucky person gets a prize. Harrison, I'm going to give you the duty for tonight. So, which one was our star question?
Ooh. See, like, here's the thing. During the podcast, I completely, when you told me, like, hey, you need to pick a question, I was like, really? And I completely and just went out of my mind, and I'm just like, okay,
So
we're
what
into the show.
I'll do, I'll buy you some time here. I'll remind the listeners a quick summary of what the questions were. Okay, so our first one was from Illustrations, who asked our favourite snacks on Nintendo Directs. We also heard Joam RBLX, who asked if Nintendo wasn't in the console scene, would we have PlayStations and Xboxes today? We also had Pandaradox ask, will Nintendo's mobile games see amiibo interactions? We had GamerP16 ask about the family-friendly nature of Nintendo affecting their bottom line. And we had, of course, at Sky Right Away asking what we were most excited for E3.
Well, but in terms of what I'm choosing on here, I'm just choosing on the quality of the question and originality, and one that just kind of made me think the most. The one that I really did like was Illustrations. I really like the one about snacks, because that's one I never really thought of. It's like, hey, it makes you think. Yeah, people think.
Made you think? I'm thinking, oh, what could this be? Snacks.
No, it really is. It's something you wouldn't ask. I mean, no, everybody else that's good, but I'm just doing, like, the snacks part. I'm just like, I never really asked that. I mean, you'd expect everything.
Okay. That is our star question then, and so the Twisted Fusion Beta Access and Digital Goodie Bag will be on your way. If you also want to be up for grabs on those prizes, you can send in your own questions, either tweet them at Nintendo Voice, or send us an email, hello@nintendovoice.com. And to close off of the show, we end with our bonus round, in which we ask you our own question. For today's episode, episode 1, the question is, what is the best weapon in the Nintendo universe? And so this could be from any Nintendo franchise. I won't start naming them, so I don't want to lead the answers.
Okay, and the spreader from Contra does not count. I know it's the best weapon out there, but no, that's Konami. Sorry.
Yeah, so these are Nintendo's games, so not third-party stuff. You know what their characters and their weapons are, so let us know what you think is the best one, and let us know why, and do pick an interesting answer. Don't necessarily go with the most obvious thing. You can tweet them to us at Nintendo Voice, or email hello@nintendovoice.com. If you tweet, use the hashtag #BestNintendoWeapon. And if you're emailing, use it as the subject line. Again, the prizes are the same. You can win the Twisted Fusion Beta Access and Digital Goodie Bag, which is the digital soundtrack and some exclusive art, as well as just larger images of some of the art which is being displayed elsewhere. And that takes us to the very end of our first episode. So, before I close this off completely, how do we think this has gone, guys?
Very smooth.
Like, giving two Brits and some Midwestern kid whatever a podcast, yeah, that'll succeed.